So the bill did reach the Senate, and the Senate decided to make revisions to Trump's current bill. And I do want to show you what those revisions look like. And I want to explain to you how this may impact you. So from what I understand, this bill has now being passed back to the House because they did revise the bill. Now, there was a tie. Imagine that. There was a tie in the Senate for this particular bill. And guess who wiggled their way in to break the tie? Watch this.
On this vote, the yeas are 50, the nays are 50. The Senate being evenly divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative. The bill as amended is passed.
So there you have it. The so-called big, beautiful bill is now past the Senate floor. As close as it gets, a 50-50 vote here with Vice President J.D. Vance casting that tie-breaking vote. I want to bring in Jay O'Brien, who's there on Capitol Hill. Jay, you heard.
So as you guys can see, it was 50 yay, 50 nay there. And again, this is one of those times where the vice president can come in and they are the tiebreaker instead of, notice he didn't like deflect to the Senate parliamentarian. He came in and he broke the tie. And that's how the bill was able to pass. Now, I want to explain to you how this is going to impact you. And also there seems to be quite a bit of a divide that's happening. Donald Trump and Elon Musk are at each other's throats again because Elon Musk is not happy that this bill passed in the Senate. I think he kind of feels like it's a slap in the face to him because he was the one that was a part of Doge. So let me show you what the current Senate revision says. So check this out. So number one, tax cuts are the priority. Republicans say the bill is crucial because there will be a massive tax increase after December when taxes break from Trump's first term expire. The legislation contains roughly 3.8 trillion in tax cuts. But listen to this. The existing tax rates and brackets would become permanent under the bill. It temporarily would add new tax breaks that Trump campaigned on. No tax on tips, overtime pay, or some automotive loans, along with a bigger $6,000 deduction in the Senate draft for older adults who earn more than $75,000 a year. One thing I want to mention here about the no tax on tips, that's now being means tested. So it is important for me to mention that to you because things is not as what we were told it was going to be. So, you guys know how I feel about means testing. I don't like it. I don't like when people means test these policies. Now, here's another one here. It would boost the 2,000 child tax credit to 2,200 under the Senate proposal. Families at lower income levels would not see the full amount. So do you see this? A cap on state and local deductions called SALT would quadruple to 40,000 for 5 years. It's a provision important to New York and other high tax states, though the House wanted it to last for 10 years. There are scores of business related tax cuts. So, like I said, you see who they're benefiting, right? The wealthiest households will see a 12,000 increase from the legislation, which would cost the poorest people 1,600 per year. They are taking from the poor and giving to the rich. Everything that I've seen so far, this is not good for working class people. Why are wealthy households getting an increase of $12,000? Why are they getting an increase? They don't need an increase. So do you see how they just keep taking from poor people and lower income people and giving to the rich? Yeah, this is why I wanted to go through this so you guys can see what this says. More money for deportation, a border wall, and the Golden Dome. $350 billion for border and national security agenda, including $46 billion for the U.S.-Mexico border wall and $45 billion for 100,000 migrant detention facility beds. So you see how they can come up with all this money? All of this money they can come up with, but not for the working people. This is why I had to go through this to show you guys once again. Look at where the money is going. You need to know this, right? Money would go for hiring 10,000 new immigration ICE officers, $10,000 signing bonus, and a surge of Border Patrol officers as well. The goal is to deport some 1 million people per year. Look at the signing bonus that they're getting, $10,000. You get a $10,000 sign-in bonus? Because I sure as hell never got any type of sign-in bonus. Homeland Security Secretary would have a new 10 billion fund for grants for states that help with federal immigration enforcement and deportation actions. See how they can come up with money for what they want it for? The Attorney General would have 3.5 billion for a similar fund known as Bridging Immigration Related Deficits Experienced Nationwide, or Biden. Interesting, is known as Biden. Isn't that funny? Referring to President Biden. Check this part out. The Pentagon. The bill would provide billions for shipbuilding, munition systems, and quality of life measures for servicemen and women, as well as 25 billion for the development of the Golden Dome missile defense system. Again, more money going towards defense. Do you see money going towards the people yet? So you see this whole idea of socialism's bad and we don't want to give people things. We don't want to do handouts. They're giving handouts to the wealthiest households. Like I said, they've always accepted this type of socialism for the rich. But when working class people are asking for it, no, we don't do handouts. This is a really important one, especially if you're on Medicaid or you know someone that is on Medicaid. Cuts to Medicaids and other programs to help partly offset the lost tax revenue and new spending. Republicans aim to cut back some long-running government programs, Medicaid, food stamps, green energy initiatives, and others. Do you see this? Medicaid, food stamps, green energy initiatives, and others. So, and this is something I really want to shout out here, and then we'll get to the other part. If you're on Medicaid and you live in a rural area, you might want to pay attention, because what you're going to see with this bill is that they're pushing more things back to the states. Remember what I told you guys before about, if you've noticed over the past couple of years, they keep pushing things back to the states. This is why it's important to pay attention to local politics. Let's go on here as well. Republicans argue that they're trying to right-size the safety net programs for the population they were initially designed to serve, mainly pregnant women, the disabled, and children, and root out what they describe as waste, fraud, and abuse. But see, it's whatever they describe as waste, fraud, and abuse. Listen to this. The package includes new 80-hour-a-month work requirements for many adults receiving Medicaid and food stamps, including older people up to age 65. Parents of children 14 and older would have to meet the program's work requirements. There's also a proposed new $35 copay that can be charged to patients using Medicaid services. So let's talk about this for a second. There are a number of people that, when I worked in the skilled nursing facility, that they're only on Medicaid. They don't have any private funds left. They just have the Medicaid, and that's it. So not everybody has $35 for the copayment. This is what I'm trying to get across to people. Think about people that are on a fixed income. They're not getting extra money. And yeah, LA, you already figured it out. Yep, and red states will hurt more from this than blue states. Exactly. Because the rural areas are the ones that they're highly targeting. People better wake up. I told you tonight's theme of the show is snap out of it. People better snap out of it. This is not a joke. This is not a game. This is what they've always been wanting to do. Take from the poor and the lower income and give it to the rich. 80 million people rely on Medicaid. 40 million use SNAP. I'm going to get into the SNAP thing and how that's going to impact people as well. So listen to this part. The Senate proposes $25 billion rural hospital transformation program to help offset reduced Medicaid dollars. It's a new addition intended to win over holdout GOP senators and a coalition of House Republicans, warning that the proposed Medicaid provider tax cuts would hurt rural hospitals. What did I tell you? They're trying to push all of this back to the states. Then it goes on to the Trump savings accounts. They're going to also, looks like they're going to implement a new excise tax on university endowments. This is basically a personal attack against Harvard. I'm just being honest with you. That's where this is coming from. So they're going to try to attack those Ivy League universities and give them like the excise tax, et cetera, where those universities before, when I worked at them, they were tax exempt. They're trying to change all of that. Now let's get into SNAP, because this is the part I think is going to have a big impact on low income communities and also Black communities, because you guys need to see this. SNAP benefits set to change in Trump's tax bill. So let's see what will happen here. Let's go down here. I want to make it a little bit bigger. Sorry about that. Okay. The reforms have been severely criticized by proponents of the program, also known as food stamps, which help 40 million Americans pay for groceries and monthly benefit allowances. Republicans have contended that the program's rules do not serve the truly needy and argue that overall spending on welfare programs should be reduced. Funding changes. So going into this year, under the approved Senate plan, states would be allowed to choose whether to use their payment error rates from fiscal year 2025 or 2026 to determine their cost sharing responsibilities beginning in fiscal year 2028. From fiscal year 2029 onward, each state share would be calculated based on its average error rate over the previous 3 years. States that maintain payment error rates below 6% would not have to contribute to benefit costs. For those above that threshold, state contributions would be capped at a maximum of 15%. Alaska and Hawaii are exempt. So, once again, they are pushing policies back to the states. I don't know if everybody heard that. That was a loud thunder. Sorry about that. They're pushing these policies back to the states. So what that means is that if you live in a poor state, or you live in a state that doesn't have, as much funding, you're not going to get as much. That's why I said this is going to seriously impact red states. Because it is the red states. If you look at the wealthiest states in the country, they're not red. So this part, we had to try to get across to people to get people to understand this bill is not in favor of working class people. They are robbing from the poor and the working class and giving to the rich. By the way, there's no cutoff or limitation for the tax benefits that they're giving to the wealthy. This is all to serve corporate interests, all to serve the military industrial complex, all to serve all this money they got for the Pentagon. They got money for the Golden Dome and everything, but they're taking SNAP benefits and they're doing it in a sneaky way, because what they tell you is we're just going to push that back to the states. What they don't tell you is that if your state does not have a lot of funds, you are going to see cuts. So people need to snap out of it, and people need to wake up and see what's really happening here. Now, one person that apparently has woken up, not because they care about the people, is Elon Musk. Elon Musk is pissed that this bill was able to pass the Senate. And so he's gone on a rampage. You guys got to see this. Every member of Congress who campaigned on reducing government spending and then immediately voted for the biggest debt increase in history should hang their head in shame. And they will lose their primary next year if it is the last thing I do on this earth. Elon is very upset about this. Very upset. So much to the point that he is now saying that he will donate to Representative Thomas Massie, a Republican who has been excoriated by Trump. So for those of you who are not aware what's been going on here, Donald Trump is trying to primary Thomas Massie because Thomas Massie has been critical of Israel, doesn't want more funding to go to Israel, doesn't want the wars, doesn't take money from AIPAC. And so Donald Trump is saying that he's going to try to primary Thomas Massie. He's already got an attack ad out against him on social media. So he's trying to get him out of there, right? So Elon is now saying he's going to donate to Thomas Massie to spite Trump. Again, it doesn't mean Elon cares about people losing their health care. It doesn't mean that Elon cares about people losing SNAP benefits. Elon is just pissed at Trump because Doge was supposed to cut and reduce spending. And then Donald Trump goes behind him and does this big, beautiful bill, which is basically more spending. And in all of it, neither one of them are explaining to you guys that this so-called debt ceiling is a myth to begin with. Neither one of them are telling the American people about modern monetary theory, that this debt ceiling is a myth. So they're both doing a disservice to the American people. But now Donald Trump is calling out Elon Musk because, again, he doesn't like this. He doesn't like that Elon doesn't want to kiss his ass. And that's basically what this has come down to. So listen to what he said about Elon and Doge here.
Elon Musk is ripping into this bill again. Are you concerned that Republicans are going to be swayed by Musk and his money?
No, I don't think so. I think what's going to happen is Doge is going to look at Musk. And if Doge looks at Musk, we're going to save a fortune. Thank you very much, everybody. I don't think he should be playing that game with me.
You hear that? That's the threat. Doge is going to take a look at Musk, and I don't think he should be playing that game with me. So you see how Donald Trump, again, the billionaire, is using his wealth and his privilege to call the shots and basically just say, hey, you get out of here too. Don't forget, Elon Musk has government contracts, right? So this other part here, he was also asked about deportation of Elon Musk. So here's the thing here. We'll get to the video. This is a statement on Truth Social. Elon Musk knew long before he so strongly endorsed me for president that I was strongly against the EV mandate. It is ridiculous and always a major part of my campaign. Electric cars are fine, but not everyone should be forced to own one. Elon may get more subsidy than any human being in history by far, and without subsidies, Elon would probably have to close up shop and head back home to South Africa. Uh-oh. Those sound like fighting words, right? Then he goes on to say, no more rocket launches, satellites, or electric car production, and our country would save a fortune. Perhaps we should have Doge take a good, hard look at this. Big money to be saved. Now, a reporter is asking him about deporting Elon Musk. Check this out.
I don't know. I think we'll have to take a look. We might have to put Doge on Elon. You know Doge is? Doge is the monster that might have to go back and eat Elon. Wouldn't that be terrible? He gets a lot of subsidies, Peter. But Elon's very upset that the EV mandate is going to be terminated. And you know what? When you look at it, not everybody wants an electric car. I don't want an electric car. I want to have maybe gasoline, maybe electric, maybe a hybrid, maybe someday a hydrogen. If you have a hydrogen car, it has one problem. It blows up, you know? So I'm going to give that one to Peter. To let Peter test it out.
Yeah, and Trump don't sound too good himself. Because when I heard this video, I was like, did he have a drinky drink? But then I don't think he drinks, right? So you're seeing what's happening here, folks. But do not allow yourself to be fooled. Right now, Chuck Schumer, he's giving all these speeches and these press conferences, and he's saying, look at what the Republicans just did to the American people. But what Chuck Schumer is not telling you is that the Democrats in the Senate could have actually stopped this bill. I warned you about this weeks ago. This is what they could do to stop it. And by the way, this information was relayed to Chuck Schumer. The person who wrote this article relayed this information to him. He is well aware that they could have done this strategy, but they decided not to. So you got the Democratic Party and the Republican Party playing games with your lives, with your livelihoods. And think about it this way, because like I said, the states that are going to be hit the hardest are the red states. They're the ones that are going to suffer the most from this because they don't have as much funds when you compare it to the blue states, right? So peep this game. Chuck Schumer and the Democrats are basically relying on this so that they can campaign on it for the midterms and they can use it to run in 2028 and say, look what Trump took from you guys, but they'll never tell you what they could have done to stop it. So here's a reminder. Senate Democrats have been handed a tool to stop the big, beautiful bill. Thanks to a Republican vote to stop California from setting its own auto emissions, Democrat can challenge virtually any Trump administrative action and eat up time on the Senate floor. And I'll show you how they could have done that. So you see this? This article was written by David Dayen, May 28th of 2025. They knew ahead of time that there was another strategy that they could have used to try to block this bill. They didn't want to block it. We get into a little bit more here. Democrats could subject the Senate to time-consuming resolution votes to such a degree that the Senate would not have time to do anything else for the rest of the session in Congress. In other words, Democrats could respond to the waiver by paralyzing the Senate and stopping the giant Trump tax bill from ever reaching the floor. And the Democratic Party is never willing to use other tools. You know, you got those tools in your tool shed. And I go on there. If you want to see that full video where I go through that whole article, the name of that video is Senate Democrats Can Block Trump's Bill. They Refuse to Do It. It's on my channel. Pass this on to other people. Because, see, they playing games. And I really want people to just, again, wake up and snap out of it. They are playing games with your lives, with your family lives, with your friends' lives, all because of political agenda and trying to see who can hold on to power, when, and how. Oftentimes, there isn't a final no. Oftentimes, there are other tools and other strategies that can be used. They just don't tell you about it. Shout out to David for writing that article. So now this bill has made its way back to the House because the Senate revised the bill. And they really are trying to kick people off of Medicaid. And for all the people who live in red states, snap out of it because this is going to impact you the most. I'm not kidding. Now they got everybody divided. They got you pointing fingers at people who are like, oh, you're a socialist, you're a communist. They got you calling each other all kind of names and stuff like that. But they literally trying to take your health care. And at the end of the day, when that happens, if people lose their Medicaid, for the people to lose their Medicaid, for the people that lose their SNAP assistance, let me tell you what won't be on someone's mind when that happens. They're not going to be thinking about so-and-so's political ideology. They're going to be looking at the class issue. They're going to be looking at why is it that I'm struggling so much, but billionaire dude over there owns so much and exploits so many people. Why are they giving tax breaks to rich people and taking money from me? This is what people are going to start thinking about. And like I said, sometimes I often wonder if both of these parties behave in such a way to keep the other in power. What do I mean by that? I mean, just telling you what the Democrats could do to block this and they chose not to do it almost kind of feels like, I don't know, it's almost like they kind of want Donald Trump and the Republicans to be there so that they can campaign on it next time. And then sometimes I sit back and I think with the policies that Trump tries to pass or is passing, it's almost like he's trying to help the Democrats. It's almost like he's trying to create so much outrage so that the Democratic Party can still be seen as a viable party, the other party, because both maintain the status quo. What both of them don't want you to do is vote third party or vote independent. Knock on that wood. Something to think about because neither one of them are really benefiting the working class. And I got to be honest with you. Here's the thing. If the Democratic Party was a truly working class party, I feel like things would be different. If the Democratic Party didn't take corporate money, I feel like things would be different. But that's not the case. And that's how we got here. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.